Welcome back, folks. Chris Salcedo Show. I am your liberty-loving Latino. Do not confuse me with loudmouth leftist Latinos out there. I actually love my country. I actually love my state, the United States of America, and the great state of Texas. Let me get out of John. John, I am pleased you waited. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chris. I would say that if Donald Trump had told the truth when he was running for a second term, that being that he would plan to attack Iran, he never would have been elected. He did, as you know, as we all know, exactly the opposite, which was to run as the person who was going to end exactly these kinds of actions by prior presidents. And the video record is, gigabytes long of him denying that he would ever do what he's done in the past week or so. So, I think that the reason you're getting pushback from your longtime listeners, self included, is that we know that he basically made his whole campaign a lie.
Well, I'm going to fundamentally disagree, and here's why. And I'll hear what you have to say about it. President Trump cited Iraq, he cited Afghanistan, he cited forever wars, and this president is not fighting forever wars. When he said he wasn't going to fight forever wars, it wasn't a universal disarmament, and it wasn't. Now, you and I would be having a very different discussion right now if the Iranians had some sort of a breakout or some sort of an attack and Donald Trump did nothing. He said, well, I knew that the Iranians were going to be a threat, and he said this repeatedly in the press conference yesterday, but I chose not to do anything because I made a campaign promise that I wouldn't defend the United States or our interests. And if Americans ended up dead, I would submit it would be you and those individuals who are complaining about his current actions, who would be up saying, see, this president is derelict. He didn't do the duty that he was called on to do. He said he was going to protect American citizens, and he failed to do it. Fair?
No, sir. The Constitution didn't confer upon the president the power to start short wars or brief wars or something other than forever wars. It didn't confer any war-making powers upon him whatsoever. So aside from being just a grossly immoral war of choice that he has launched, he's violated our supreme law of the land.
Well, how do you know that's a war of choice? You inserted that. You said it's a war of choice. Do you have definitive proof that the Iranians were not a threat? Their intercontinental ballistic missile technology, their rebuilding of their nuclear program. Do you have it for certain confirmed that they weren't doing that?
Do you have it for certain confirmed that they were?
No, I have the president of the United States, who I trust. I have his word. Yes. And his wives can't trust him, and I don't see any reason why I should trust him. Is that a little bit of a low blow there, John? I mean, seriously. The idea that what gives you the impression? Remember, we were told that the Iranians were incredibly formidable, and that the reason why we couldn't go and take out the Iranian threat to our country was it would be the cost benefit analysis. It would have been a bloodbath that the United States of America would pay with massive loss of equipment and lives, and it didn't turn out to be the case. So,
well, I don't think that the war-making power that is set forth in the Constitution takes into context whether the opponent is formidable. What the war-making power provides is that only Congress shall take us into war.
Correct.
Hamilton, in Federalist 69, Hamilton took great pains to distinguish the powers of a king from the powers of a president. And he specifically said in Federalist 69 that a king may initiate a war, but a president may not. Hamilton further said in Federalist 69 that the war-making powers of a president are weaker than even those of a governor of one of the 13 states.
It's true.
I will say this in defense of Trump. He's not the only president to be violating our Constitution, but that doesn't make what he's doing correct.
Since Korea.
Yes, this is a war of aggression, it's grossly immoral.
Well, since Korea. And, the United States Congress, because it is not geared towards standing up for Americans' best interests, has neglected its duty to the American people because it's concentrating on other things, getting reelected and patting its own pockets. We understand all of that. But the War Powers Act is pretty clear what the president has the ability to do and the time frame he has the ability to do it in. And the idea that the commander in chief of the United States military has no power to defend this country if he sees an imminent threat is also, I think, is not supported in the Constitution. The Article 2 powers are clear. As commander in chief of the United States military, he does have that authority if he sees an imminent threat. Now, you and I can debate whether or not we trust presidents to make that determination, but they are the only they are elected by the majority of our people. The members of Congress can't say that. They are elected by their districts and by their states, right? He is the only one that is elected by all of the people, the president of the United States. And that's why the Article 2 powers are deferential to him, because he is responsible to all of the country, not just to one geographic region.
If you're being fair-minded, Chris, you would admit that every position that you hold with respect to Iran and its intentions, its nuclear aspirations that you claim it has, its intercontinental ballistic missile aspirations that you claim it has, all of those things would have been in place prior to the November 24 election of Donald Trump for the second term.
Yes.
And so are you saying that he was just stupid and ignorant and didn't know that Iran had those desires when he ran? Or are you saying that he deliberately chose to obfuscate and withhold from the American people his intention to do something about it after he was elected?
No, what I'm saying is that when Beijing Biden or President Otto Penn or whoever was presented with this intelligence, remember, it was Democrats who authored the JCPOA, which Obama admitted on an NPR interview facilitated an outbreak to make Iran a nuclear power within a decade. I submit to you that the intelligence reports, which President Trump didn't have the benefit of, were being submitted to Democrats, and Democrats supported, facilitated, and cheerleaded the Islamic regime becoming a nuclear power. And that once President Trump started receiving intelligence briefings, once he started to understand the nature of the threat, President Trump, which, by the way, since the 1980s has been very clear that the Iranians should never have a nuclear weapon. So once he got the benefit of the intelligence reports, he decided he needed to act. And by the way, he did, John, run on that. The Iranians will never have a nuclear weapon so long as he was president. And that's also got him elected. And he has made the determination, once he had the intelligence, that they would not have nuclear weapons and the ability to export those. And that's what President Trump has, I believe, done. And I would also reject the comparison between George Bush's forever wars and the Democrat Party's forever wars that benefit special interests over what President Trump is doing. I think Venezuela is a stark example, a contrast rather, to those. And I believe the Iranian conflict will be a stark contrast to those when it's all said and done.
Well, when the recently murdered leader of Iran, Khomeini, took power in the 1980s, he issued a so-called fatwa, or religious declaration, that nuclear, chemical, and other weapons of mass destruction were a sin against Islam, and Iran would never deploy them. And I believe they have honored that. And the truth of the matter is that there's one country on earth that wants to see Iran destroyed, and that's Israel. The reason that Donald Trump was elected, or actually our presidents are not elected, they're selected. The reason that he was selected this most recent time around is that he pledged to his Zionist donors that if he was put in office, he would attack Iran. And that's what he's done. This war is for a foreign country, and that foreign country is Israel.
Well, I would say if it was the only war / operation that we were involved in, you might have that case. But what President Trump is doing right now isn't geared toward Israel's benefit. He is undermining those, the tools the enemies of America, Communist China, Mother Russia, and the BRICS nations, the tools they were using to undermine America's sovereignty, safety, and security. economically and militarily. Venezuela was of no interest to Israel. Its fall, but we did that operation, and this president will continue to do that operation, not for the benefit of a foreign country, but for the benefit of our own. And John, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't trust radicalized Islamic fundamentalist terrorists. I don't. And I don't trust the Ayatollah Khomeini, who has ruled that country with an iron fist, who stands in stark contrast, that regime, stark contrast to everything I believe as an American, as a human being. These butchers that these individuals are, I have no faith in them or their communist allies. I just don't. And the fact that you put so much trust and faith in radicalized Islamic fundamentalist terrorists, you and I are just going to agree to disagree on that.
You know that I don't do that, Chris. But
well, that's exactly what you did. You said you believed
Yeah.
the Ayatollah when they said that they have no nuclear aspirations, and to me, that's just insanity. I can't trust somebody with a worldview like that. I will not. I cannot. They've proven it over and over again that a free people is antithetical to what they believe in.
I don't trust radicalized death cult Zionists and their desire to destroy the world in order to bring back the third temple. So, I think if we're going to pick our poison, I would rather trust an Ayatollah who says it's a sin to have a nuclear weapon than a president of Israel who says that we need to bring back to his Arab neighbors what his forebears did to the Amalekites. So,
all right. Well,
no, I'm sorry, I can't go with you.
I understand, John, and we can get into the whole, the 11th Imam or whatever the hell that the end time prophecies, what these radical jihadis believe they're going to be ushering in when they drop nukes. The 12th Imam, I believe. Yeah, 12th Imam is what the prophecy there. I mean, look, if you're going to start mixing religion into all of this, I mean, it's going to get kind of wonky. But I would say this, the idea that the fall of the Iranian regime was not of benefit to our country, I think the facts belie that.